We'll say the prayer on page number 10. Uh, on page number 10, each verse we'll say in Tibetan 2 times, um, and afterward we'll say in English 1 time.
It's 10 o'clock. In English on page number 11. Uh, page number 11. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha.
From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and consciousness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and consciousness. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings embody equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, known to me perfume, sown with flowers, on mirror, encircled by the four continents, surrounded by the sun and moon. I visualize this beauty. May all beings enjoy um, the foundation prayer on page number 14.
上周三重永我是总结将此中那什公报没那上这么老不懂的要是东巴那做巴中老不是老别有老用我是是中养到东老自人手把一你浪东中的着为了有的见老结我是他莫那让我的根儿哇那他把根结手指多知道上界为这我当把的的老年的这不是一路的这爱着那你这辈日南到当不送了，这妈们别爱我年纪儿呢，所当的送我身的路，年纪的用我人年纪。那这人到你做嘛也，但是那就说你没用，当别送人，这不是一路。得南中东北是年当，此人这北中能上能上，是当南一半的这北送，你我是。世界老多，天瓦根的样大拉玛当，人民去见花拉龙就讲，大浪也用的热做呢。多知长夜空帮牛说说，哎呀，你从哪路学会的了
？Good morning to you all, and thank you for joining me in today's class.
아니 아주 단다 많이 던지니. 산지스 공부 제가 산지스 잡로더나 그 요노들 아니 직당 산지스나 지도도들 작근로지는 말아 아니 샘 냥지기 랑즈기 하이 넘버 샤와니 다 감동가고 셰시 샤지와 든지 삼고레데 아니 냥지기 랑즈기 간데나 아니 때는 많이 돌서 옴 많이 밤네 홈 세다 주몽초 시게 단다 사와카신데 어디 옴 세다 링을 있으면 마 많이 세다 그제 아니 성취 샘 존존시 마마세 때 실 내리 독비 혈압 전던지 되니까 홈 세드 응아도 nga롱도 ចិត្ត기 요몽 뭐 시왔던 안에 랑지원즈 벌써 뭐 탐지에 지 냠는 진데 곰도 지원수 티승 건수 지원수 된겨왔던 거요. 겨왔던 내에 지 냥지 등 셰럽기 랑지 전기 nga롱도 르비르비 상기 기본 전지스 공방 더 특요자 냥지 지랑즈를 공고 이제 특요자 nga롱도 많이도 좀 많이 때 칸이 많이 겨왔던 셈네 로아슨지 탐 지글링을 있습니다. 쌈당 냥지 공고 반견니 par 전지스 그 저송 여러 쇼치 삼molum 잡니 도엔시
쇼라 동주 쇼라 동주 많이 쇼라
So we're going to begin our today's Dharma discussion by practice of the meditation of Chinese, the Buddha of compassion. We're going to recite the Om Mani Padme Hum, the sixth syllable mantra. As you can see, and right in front of you, there is a statue of Buddha of compassion, Chinese, Avalokiteshvara. So the most important thing here is that when you look upon the statue, and remember, it is not the Chinese or the Buddha of compassion. It is not in the form of such a sort of artistic or material object. Okay? In other words, Chinese or the Buddha of compassion is not made up with material, but rather the actual Buddha of compassion, the Buddha of Avalokiteshvara is the manifestation, is the embodiment of the great compassion. So as such, and the embodiment of great compassion, and the Buddha of Avalokiteshvara has one face and two arms, and so you can see how it appears in the kind of artistic way. So the most important thing is to remember that you are meditating on the spiritual. The Avalokiteshvara is a spiritual entity, and it is a manifestation of the great compassion of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then while you are reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, the six syllables, I repeatedly said this before. Let me again and just quickly point out to those of you, just in case you are relatively new, or you need some kind of reminder, as a reminder. Okay, so when you say Om, remember that represents the body, speech, of mind, and then the Buddha Avalokiteshvara, and then Mani is represented the great Bodhicitta, or the great compassion itself. Mani, Padme, is also exalts the wisdom, or the pure wisdom, or the awareness. And the Hum is represented dependent arising, or the actual achievement or accomplishment of your spiritual practice. So this is possible. Okay, when you say Om Mani Padme Hum and meditate on the spiritual body or the entity, and the body of the Avalokiteshvara Buddha of compassion as a spiritual entity. And then remember that we're doing that is because we ourselves will eventually become Buddha Avalokiteshvara, Buddha of compassion ourselves. Why? Because just like the Om Mani Padme Hum, the last six syllable Hum represents, and because things are events, everything is kind of real, is dependent upon something else. Is a cause and effect, and due to the law of cause and effect. So if you doing this a spiritual, dedicated to such a spiritual practice, and So as a result of your dedication, your practice, and your effort as a cause will bear the fruits, and that is a Buddha Avalokiteshvara. Okay, so we do that through the process of hearing, and by engaging Dharma through the process of hearing and contemplation and then meditation. And then eventually we will ourselves will become the Buddha Avalokiteshvara ourselves. So therefore, as a first step here, we are actually we are trained or reciting Om Mani Padme Hum and with our mouth, and but in our mind we reflecting upon or thinking of or meditate on or focus on the spiritual and enlightened body of compassion.
On page number 70.
Junje laje kondo kar dosan je je wolaje Toje chanje dola zi chanje zela shantalo Omane bame Omane bame Mane bame Oh yeah. 다 지금 아주 단다 종거네 자와가 아주 지 노동부지나 정말 됐어 깔리 가원로 당이 로망부 장주 가랑이나 깔리 호텔이 지레네 그런 거 어떡하시나 대 항토도 좀 이게 되나 이 접당 것이네 아니 남바상 기위 네 셰드도 동반이 동이 셰드 접당 건 어쩌로 놀디시 코나 시당 맞더니 그런 것도 좀 되냐나 됐어 또 연도 거버스 상무도지.
Well, as always the case, or most likely always the case, that is when we approach the actual scripture, the texts that address the very difficult topic such as emptiness, I guess it actually will make you feel very challenging and hard to comprehend, which of course I must tell you, I totally understand you, because I myself have been putting myself into this subject matter and for many years, and as a result of it, I'm still working on it. So therefore, and all of a sudden, when you are jumping into the topics such as shunyata or emptiness, of course you will find that instead of make sense, probably will get you lost. And so see this as possibly the case. So I would like, I guess I should give you some kind of a very basic introduction about Buddhist concepts of emptiness. Then we can try to deepen our understanding in accordance with the textbook. Maybe this is more beneficial.
근데 남바성이 동반이서 짠이 매바시고 말이지. 아니 짠이 매바르지 동나 챕이 달라 통송하지. 아니 나라도 삼반도 랑진지들 코랑도 랑스기지들 때르지 요르스네. 또 요마지. 또 요바 때르 요르즘 동나 딱비 달라 통로지. 또니 땅 챕이 타던 딱비 타니 땅 잡이니 땅니 다지 자고 요르지.
So what is important thing is that when you come to the Buddhism and a Buddhist the teaching, and you will hear that emptiness, right? So what is emptiness, right? Here we must pay a very close attention to make sure that we are not misunderstanding of this very profound and most important the teaching of emptiness. So upon here, emptiness, if you interpret that this idea, the concepts of emptiness as something not exist at all, or never ever sort of existed, in other words, is totally nothing. Right? So if you make the if you take the idea of the teachings of emptiness and to equivalent that is something is nothing or nothingness, then you are fell into the extremes of nihilism, right? Meaning that's completely you denial the very facts. So that's then you become your view will be a nihilistic view. Of course, that is that we will never go to that direction. And then at the same time, although you were able to free from this trap of the dangers of fell into nihilism. But if you take the emptiness, the teaching of emptiness, this concepts or whatever refer to, and to the subject matter or any topic, any object of perception that is sort of inherently, independently, or absolutely sort of exist under its own power or by its own characteristic, then you fell into another extreme, the opposite extreme from nihilism, that is eternalism. Right? So therefore, as the learner and the practitioners of this very important teaching, the emptiness, we must try to avoid the both extremes, the extremes of nihilism and the extremes of the eternalism, and then find the middle ground.
There's a thing also. 남지 사똥즈니 사똥즈 모투지용 싸왔다 동아즈로 사똥뉴 때 롱인라 자레나 베 레로 지금 안로이나 띠용도 사똥자들 롱인 따용서 롱인 강라 지금 저라와 관계라서 거기라서 밀라서 같이 자동적으로 넘겨요. 넘어가는 서로 찍기요. 이나 띠피용라 짠이 손에 랑진지 코트나 요르웨 짠이 손에 짠이 요마 동비용. 근데 롱인도 지디 자송서도 샘낭라 낭님 샤라잔즈마 똑같은 요말 대차다 텔라사모 동네 능외 차지라 동외 차지 니띠 끊나 연구요 당가도 능외 차텔라 안가도 천니베 텔라 좋아데 동용고 랑지 요띠 오이 닐기 때레는 말 동바레 동비양에서 대차다 텔라 때는 사모 동네나 당원을 정네 능외 차때 아니 군주대 마세고라 동외 차때 돈된데 마세고라 대차다 네바닐 치정 시탐직 당나 장고 된차때 테스트 삼로던 나가도 있는 테스트 다 쇼도 시고 말 테스트 판게 놓으시대.
So I guess there is an easy way, at least a relatively easy way to approach this very difficult subject, the emptiness. Because here's the thing. Generally speaking, we have the emptiness itself covers two aspects of the reality. One is the clarity, another is the emptiness or empty. So empty aspects and the clarity aspects. That is the two aspects of the emptiness. What is this emptiness? So if you try to grasping or try to perceiving, understand these two aspects, clarity and empty, I guess they will begin to make sense. Here is my personal experience, or something I believe it is, at least personally, I'm in favor. And I find it very helpful. That is, if you take an example of your applying, or take an example of a movie, or your experience of a movie watching, right? Your movie watching experience, and apply them to this difficult topic of emptiness from the two aspects, like I just said, the clarity aspect of the emptiness and the emptiness itself. Or empty, and I guess it will begin to very helpful. At least personally, I find this helpful. Why? Because this is how I look at it. So when I watch a movie, obviously, in the movie, and I see the mountains, rivers, and forest, and houses, and people, right? And all kinds of events and things are taking place and going on, right? And so at that point, the things are revealed or appear to me, right, and they're right in front of me, I cannot deny that it's not there at all, right? So it is something that's taking place, right? However, I'm not content with this appearance. Okay? The things, the events that appear on the screen right in front of me, that's the production movie, right? I'm not content with it. I want to see all the things happening, right? And then, so I'm trying to look into the actuality of those materialistic sort of appears to be the materialistic thing, which is of course the virtue at this point, right? So although it appears to me in the movie, the house it looks like house, right? And the mountains looks like mountain, and rivers looks a river, and beings, right? And the events, things, everything looks as if they were there by themselves, right? But now I'm looking into, I'm saying, is that the case? Are there? Right? When I began to, of course, this is the Buddhist approach, right? And to determining or to ascertain the profound reality of the actuality. So then I'm looking into, say, questioning, is that the thing? Is that real? The house is there, is there a house? Is there a river? Is there mountains and the people and the forest or whatever is going on? Are they really there? When I ask this question, searching, like all the other Buddhist, the practitioners of emptiness, teachers of emptiness would do, when we approach, ask the question, the critical question about, are they really there? Are there really the things which appear as if they were how they and the things exist the way how they appear to us. If you ask this question and try to find out, searching, right, try to track it down, and you will end up with finding nothing real there. Okay, meaning that those appearances are only proves they does not exist. They're not there as how they appear to us at the first place. Okay. So that takes us to the appearance aspect, the actuality of the appearance aspect of phenomena, that is emptiness, or that is empty. So therefore here in the case of the movie, we see two things going on: the clarity aspect of the movie and the actuality of the movie, or the things of events or phenomena which appear on the screen. So the empty aspect of it, and then a clarity aspect of it. So these two aspects of the movie, it's not that hard for us to understand. We see the things going on, right? That's the clarity. But when as soon as we questioning about its actuality, and then it began to show us something which is opposite from what we have, which was appear to us at the first place. So that is the sphere of reality, or Dhammatta or Dhammadhatu, which is the ultimate reality of all phenomena. So therefore, every phenomena, right? Now let's take this to a little bit more philosophical or scripture. Use the scripture terms to understand this simple phenomena of movie watching experience, right? In Buddhism, in the Buddhist scripture, there's two notions, right? And which one is called conventionality or conventional truth, and then another is called ultimate truth or ultimate absolute. So conventionality, and in this case is referred to like what are the things that appear to you, like in the case of a movie, which appears to you, right? That's the phenomena. Phenomenologically, that's the thing going on. That's the conventionality. But when you look in the nature of that very phenomenological thing, or the reality of the phenomena, and then you find that this doesn't match how it appears or looks like. So that is the conventional truth, not conventional, the ultimate truth, and all the actuality aspects of the reality.
대자다 텔라 때니 가도 린디 세트 샤이 조랑 가도 넘바 성지 리기 공트 바 린디 득당데 가르고 롱인 회정나 롱인 당보트 미치 그 삼로 코랑 삼로가 나인 나다 로르기 나레 코랑 그 도조이 나레 텐데지 로르지 남비나 샤롱 샤르유트니 르비지 미기 탑툰 지즈스코니 parlan지 때 파쇼다 그거라 샤롱고 대자다 창마때 그런 미기 레라테니 시발라테니 삼로트니 링을 요승고 조랄테니 롱인도 조로 롱인도 배 샤르고 대자다 렘디가 남쪽 데텔라테니 다다 같이 파 라트 터지고도시 아주 넘바서기.
Yeah. So here's another thing, the beauty of the Buddhist teaching, in terms of how to apply this idea of the emptiness, right, and apply this to support our moral ethical practice or support us to be spiritually very dedicated practitioner, particularly in terms of the cause effect, right? So our basic moral ethical practice is the foundation of our moral ethical. The practice is the teachings of karma, a law of karma, right? So what is the law of the karma, and how you can explain the very functionality, the importance, the significance of the cause and effect in the context of the teachings of emptiness. As we use the movie example, right? So in the movie, in the case of movie that we know, essentially at the beginning, right? And there was individual, someone, let's say, screenwriter, or someone who is writing the story, right? The writer is the creator, who is author of maybe, right, it's a based on true story, history, or maybe a science fiction. So either somebody who is sort of make up all the things and then write down them and make a book that become and then somebody else uses that material as the blueprint of his or her movie making later on, right? Or the story, the author's the story he or she made based on the true historical events. Either case, somebody, a person, first has to write down them, right? Begin to write down. But prior to that writing, and then the person has to have an idea, right? Had a thought, right? Or thought occur in her or his mind, then driven by that very occurrence of the thoughts or inspiration or motivation and a desire, whatever, and then this person made effort, right? And then through the through his effort and by collecting and working on this the idea, and finally he or she made a book, and then the director or the movie producer who also picked up the idea, had an idea, say, I want to pick up this idea, use this material, and to put them into a documentary film or the science, the fiction movies. So either way, you can see how these things are being come out, right? Become from a sort of one idea and eventually come to be a movie, right? Then made it possible for the viewers watch, and the individuals like us, and then go to the movie hall or can watch it right in front of the screen and on our computer. Okay, so see, this is how the cause effect is working, right? That movie is, now you can see the movie, right? but as I said, the nature of the movie again, and so appearance of the movie and the actuality of the movie, right? And so which is reflected the idea of the two aspects of emptiness, the clarity and the emptiness. So therefore, look at how the cause effect is working, right? It works perfectly.
진짜 다 네, 저동 되지나 어때? 로진 세트 다 저동 z마르 되지네. 제가 저동 뭐제동 가운 다거스네 근데 사무 코스 바 코이나. 땅 가는 미치고 뭐세는 사무 땅에나. 미치고 뭐세는 거 네다 기왕에 좀때 단다 마시 파티 뭐치지요로. 또 저동 지나 오늘 로진 통통 지래. 진짜 아니 텔라 텐다 페나가 로진 단다 땅아 nga teenager ya yongwa nga teenager revezna nga ta teenager in mi chang ga ma shor gar ko la pa tang tang de sigro nga teenager marwa nga da gang go chiro ina na nga teenager ni ya yongwa do nga lo chini zong de ya bi yongwa nga ngi teenager da ka wan do zna yo ma re dong ba de 정말 물론 그 나와 좀 맞도 nga no sama nga ji tang go ning 등 지금 삼도를 당 지그래요 뭐 인터까지 지라된 게 맞다 배랑 중원 네 타마데 시소나 아니 다 머신디 다 개와신 좀 타마데 지기디노 다 개와시마데 넘버 쇼와 강즈가 단다 머신데라 로닝가로존나 디 로닝도 진파 개와시말 땡고요 어때서다 개와들랑 아주 삼바 장보진이 링 있으면 좋아요 고치나 디 개와시마 린 야고지비 로니 장보즈 저 개와시마다나 로니가 샤크레스 어떤 게 뜻이겠지?
Okay. Maybe some of you will disagree with me. Say, no, Geshe, and what you try to say, it doesn't make sense. Why? Because we all know movie is made up. Movie is the production of somebody else's work, right? It's been produced. So therefore, and you cannot be serious about the movie because after all, whatever is the things that happen in the movie is ultimately is not real. It's a false, right? Is a deception, right? But our life, here I am, my life, right? The very life I'm dealing with is true, is real. So it's not like a movie. Well, then let me challenge you, okay? If you think that movie is not real, and after all, is a sort of a fake, right? It's a fraudulent sort of a piece of thing or events, and our life is real, then your argument probably say, I'm based on your experiences, I'm here, right? And therefore I'm real. But you are here until you die, right? That you think you are here consistently, right? And as one entity or one individual, right? And since nothing happening, you being yourself, you were, and you are, and sort of you will be from birth till the death, right? Is that the case, right? Let me ask you, right? Are you sure you are that person, right? Consistently being the one from the birth until the death? Probably not. Let me take myself as an example, right? I was a teenager, right? I was. Right? You all know I was a teenager at one point, right? So no one would deny that. I myself also knew that I was a teenager. But can I say that the very teenager Bishi Gonga is still here? And therefore I am that teenager myself. Of course, if I say I'm teenager, you will laugh at me because obviously you look at me, you know I'm an old man, aged person. So I'm no longer a teenager, but I was, right? So then the obvious problem is here that although right, I was, right, but I'm not now, right? So I was 1 year old, but now I'm not the 1 year old anymore, right? So what happened to that 1 year old and then the teenager I, right? So when you look in that 1 year old I, me, and the teenager me or teenager you, from today's this moment of the special, let's say, yes, from this present moment point of view, you look back, and they look like a dream, or the things that occurred appear in your dream or dream-like, right? Why? Because it's really it's just like a dream. There's nothing you can point out or find out to say that's me, right? And here, no, me, right? That 1 year old or teenager, both are gone. Just like happened in what the things happened in your dream. Why? Because that the moment by moment, right? Minutes by minutes, second by second, minutes by second. And and by the force of impermanence, law of impermanence, and then you are here. So then finally, of course, this changing of each moment will lead you to the final the point of your this lifetime, that is the death, right? So when you look at again this whole life as a real thing from the final point of your life experience, right? Final point of your life, that is death, right? You look back, would that appear to you the entire life, the types of life the forms of life you led was just really like a movie? You are watching a movie. It is, right? Because nothing really substantially, and there it's real, right? When you look at from the death, the last point of your life, or point of the moment of your life, death, and then back all the way to your birth. It's just like a movie. It's just like a dream, right? Nothing there substantially. So therefore, I think, right, we are actually is making movie ourselves. The life so far we have led, right? So is the movie you made so far, right? No, you are continued making the same movie, a similar movie until you die. And so on the process of this movie making like the life, right? What you are doing is you are undertaking or you are responding to everything that in in the law of under the law of by the force of law of causality, right? Meaning that if you make a good movie here in this lifetime, right, and you look back, you look back at what you have done, it's like you're watching a good movie, a decent, very enjoyable movie, right? If you made a terrible movie and then you have to watch those terrible movies you have made yourself in this lifetime. Now we can take this to a furthermore and to the idea of reincarnation. Right? The movies we made in this lifetime, right? Not only just stops. So you look back at the moment of your final point of your life, death, but that movie will keep going. You have to take it into the next lifetime, meaning that whatever the movie you made in this lifetime, either good or bad, right? Since you are the director, you are the movie maker, you have to watch it yourself. So therefore, the very thing we needed to remember and the very advice we need to take is we must to make sure we make a while we have to make a movie, we are making movies. Why not? We make sure all the movies that we made in this lifetime, right, up until this point, right, or from this point to until death, is a good one. And then, so whatever the movie you made in this lifetime, and the reality is, whatever the movie you made this lifetime, you have to watch it. You will watch it next lifetime.
근데 레세들 레시 좀 섬셔고 통치 용지길리 제리 용지길 렌정전란 기위 용지 레스니 딱 센데 롱니즈나 꼬르치 셋들라 더 배진데 셋들라 남은 መንግ지 중요하지 꼬르치 세 겨와시마 꼬르치 겨와시미시마 되는 그 르반로 섬용 거지 다 셋들라 진데 셋들라면 아주 통치 용지 요베 지금 미도 미세 던 고마고알선이 람속 정강선 뭐 지간을 강은 누웠다 다른 거지 다 겨와시마 때 셋들라 다 하마고 진들리 그 소도 담셔지도나 나 겨와시마 때 겨와시미시마면로 어떤 그 캡을 먹으시 거지.
This movie making experience of ourselves will affect us here in the life after again, and that is because of the law of karma. So speaking of karma again, we have to know there's three different from an experiential point of view, right? Karma can be exhausted and through three different period of time. And again, we talk this from the reincarnation point of view. So first, the karma, the first type of karma can be exhausted is called the obvious, the karma that can be experienced in this lifetime. That is obvious. That is obvious experience. And for example, if you committed the criminal acts such as robbery, right, or stealing something, you have been caught, and then somebody will sue you and then take you to the court house and the house of the law, and then you end up in the jail, right? So that is the karma, and which mature, or and the negative karma, the outcome of the karma is exhausted in this lifetime, or and the karma which can be will mature in this very lifetime. So then second is the form of karma is, even though you committed the negative karma or positive karma in this lifetime, it doesn't mature, it doesn't produce the result in this lifetime, but would it mature, will take place, the actual result will take place in the life after this one, right? And then the third possibility, and the karma can be exhausted, or the actual result can be produced, would be the further in the distant future. The karma you made in this lifetime, it didn't happen taking this place in this lifetime. It also didn't take place in the next lifetime, life after, right? This one, and but it will the result will be produced in the distant future. So when you look at this, the three possibilities of the karma, and other in terms of how the karma is being mature, and we know that the karma once be created and then never will go away. Be wasted, right?
영 꼬치그 영 다들이나 배서수지당 다들 다음에 득바세 때라 연든지고도 고 샥바제요. 샥바제스나 고 소소랑 이거 논트도 소소 니스 바지 논트 방인즈니 지만이 뜻안에 지금은 담자지 네 논트지 스비 파쇼 디게 다 가지고 있는 득바드 묘차가 쳇듯지가네 공정로 소화된 상사와 등등 아주 직능가서 소바된 게 지지바 등을 소리자마 편도시야 뭐일로 그런 것도 지내네 뜻이 저에나 득바체 대한 르비코 아주 있는 롱인도 그게 딜레이 당한 거는 맞 좋아요래.
Okay. Well, maybe this the three phases or the way how the karma can be mature, the maturity of the karma, it could scare somebody or make somebody feel a little bit of a negative. Well, here's the beauty of the karma. Okay, so you made a karma. Yes, karma is there, right? But the beauty of the karma, especially the beauty of the negative karma, is the negative karma has this kind of a beauty aspect. It's a beautiful aspect. That is, the negative karma can be purified, right? Through the compassion, or by means of compassion, by the means of the dedication of all the virtuous action, and by recognize the negative outcome of the bad karma, right? And then you pledge, or you take oath, or you determined not to repeat or commit same karma, same action again. And then at the same time also, dedicate yourself to the positive karma, right? All the time. So this way, at the same time, also of course, compassion and dedicate to the positive karma and do all the virtual thing. But then spiritually, also like say the prayers and try to engage in the very profound and deep meditation and or the profound the great meditations such as like a compassion and so on and so forth. So prayer to the three jewels and meditate on the profound dharma, which can be applied used as antidotes to cope with your negative karma. So all the things and together, and you can you can mitigate, and even you can root out all the negative karmas that you have committed. It's just like you can make a movie, right? As a movie director, you can make a movie from beginning to the end. But as a director, you also have the equal power and to decide to delete the negative, the bad part of the movies you have made.
다 근데니 마테 로직은 대동다 대시무스 경고지다 니와 나이와 랑진메 버탈라 바바 바비 칠세 대트치르비 다 랑진메 바 삼미 니위치 르파테니키 셰발라테니 다 키와 랑진메 버 토브르케테 모신키오 메 버 토브 삼미 카토카로 동 상라 소파 젠타 roba meper toba jeno zashili dangni yopa mayena dak yopa kalajir shi tang jipali kansir shepo me kansir shepo mechin le mepa tisher dakki dagme yulmayen tisher dagtang dakki tong tawi namjur panam teor torkir shi sonte terter tsijirang li tatil pe kempak ki kanzak kin dagme per topper shini korshati sheshin diwali dakki chandra tendra semchin tham chil shi semchin tham chil tendra chandra chicken shi so sitwat chi sama chi losma this mandona tsasamsh.
So please go to your copy translation in page 128. In the middle, I'm not going to explain, I'm just going to read through this, and I'm not going to explain this today. The technique for determining the lack of an inherent existent mind.
Good.
Okay. The technique for determining the lack of an inherently existent mind once we have validly ascertained that the self of the person has no inherent existence for the reason that it is neither one nor many, rely on the force of that very reason, we shall come to realize that mind also is devoid of inherent existence. For having validly understood that a bearing woman has no son, we need go no further in order to understand that he does not have a pale or a radiant complexion. The fundamental treatise called Wisdom says, if the self does not exist, how will mind exist? And the supplement says, because the agent does not exist, inherently his actions do not exist. Therefore, mind has no self-existence. Thus, the yogi who meditates on the view that self and mind are empty of inherent existence will be released from cyclic existence. We should familiarize ourselves accordingly with the understanding that all persons, exalted and ordinary beings, who are of a different continuum from ourselves, lack inherent existence self. The condensed perfection of Wisdom Sutra says, just as the self is empty of inherent existence, understand every sentient being similarly. Just as every sentient being is empty of inherent existence, understand all phenomena similarly. This concludes the explanation of the method for ascertaining the selflessness of the person, involving the 4 points of analysis according to the view of the great Nagarjuna.
근데 거기서나 당일 요파 마이나 dakyo pa kalaz ngarong zo chita nga se terangji marben ngi se ti yo marwa ngazu somat nga ne ngi ne chadong ngus경 거 yo marse 네 지 치치가 땅 동이 요고사 희송하이나 어찌 탐지가 다른 자와를 리라오시기래 또 노르는 뜻이.
Actually, let me just quickly point out one critical important point here. Like you see in the fundamental treatises called Wisdom, and in that Nagarjuna says, if the self does not exist, how will mind exist? And so it is quite obvious, we talk about self and I and individuality and identity, self-identity. That's I. And then further from there, then we claim mind, right? And anything that's sort of relate to, then belong to us or we possess it. All our possessions or relationships. Well, all this are point out to one thing. That is, if you understand, right, based upon one particular phenomena, such as like I, right? So if that very I you claim, right, inherently exists the I, but does not exist it, right, or proves it does not, right, then you can apply the same logical reasoning into all the phenomena, and then you will find that there's no single the thing in the universe not lack of or devoid of the self, inherently exists the self.
Oh yeah, takamakhashide to yoshi.
So we have a few moments. And, any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So, but first of all, this has to do with karma and compassion, especially for the second and the third types of karma, which ripen later. If all beings have been my parent, then I too, at some point, have been the parent of all beings. Therefore, any karma I generate is going to ripen somewhere for some being, just as previous others' karma may ripen in myself. Therefore, if I truly have compassion, am I not responsible for the ripening of karma generated in other subsequent beings?
Okay. Okay, Dada Mazu, Li Junji Tong, the Lady Ganamjo take on the Bis Sumbika, the Tung Jidong, Leon Joseph, the Liga Samsung was in the Tung Yonji, Tung Yonji, and in late son, the Chima, each mine, Chimachila, Maya, the big Sung was. In a young, the Washa, Nico Meazo, the Dissi Sung was. The Dion as to show that the Nyandakas for the needy chambers, Gomiada, needy chamber, the pain this shade was. It did you only need you compensation in us, and a ramping Suzuki, Mamma, Mamma is Sasha, the Quadzo, Suzuka's way, and Mijala Noche by the name Benaco, and Suzuki down the lane check, and the sword. 当老师呢，当老板的那些呢，结果让我去马瑞维斯，我的那些不接受的，把人给的是得更多的，是不让公司。
是，这当我做，他同时用就是那听的了，他我从我从这把着，因那叫我人了，叫我别那做那我做吃什么的别个强不是我吃个什么的，吃什么的别听的了，心上都手今年谁呢？ 아니 라령 때라 끼니다 저 다다 따껴와 시면 다다 무친들라 가르사가 좀나 띠껴와 가랑 레드 껴와 시마나 담은 거서 또 마치진 껴와 시가다가 적당 미지 그 전부 진근배 인나랑 시간으로 진영지로 등 다바로 텐데 그 셔브로 샘 장보지 뭔지 시나 띠그 니톱 그니 사원로 전직 답지니 나로 적당 가서 줄라 샘지 방식 강라지 로인로 방어도 저래 득자 야가 방어도 뛰는데 지 샘 장보즈가 세다와자 띠 뭐지껴 겨와시마다 야르 여고지 샤령 세텔라 마면 바용 거래지 아니 뜻이네 때 샤돔지 마투다나 또 람로 곰바인 때지 양지로 곰 샤돔지 뛰나 아니 르비 니완로 서치니 가동도 띠 톱기 녀보 톱기 파 메와 차로라 지가 마치지나 같이나 렌디트 문 용거마도 마메나 대초님 쳤솔라 메와 잠깐만에 요 소소그 때지니 근데 원비 톱지니 니와텔라테나 코랑징 가메와 차로 찌땅지랑 아주 지금 샤돔시네데 아로도 직든들라 베랑나 미직 그런 미직라 니와치 못 사주나 미직라 득자치 땅네데는 미티 하고서나 다 미티 냠때 까지는 요셔지 코르가 제고나 제천 돈이 가르치고는 진 타가촌이 대랑도 좋다 아니 장마 차인다지나 디님은 좋다 디게 콘준도 마찬가지와 어떤 안지 그 시가제 되는지 다디 콘준도 매 맞춰 봤다 레사서 또 코파초 디게 김바들 내가 뺐다 다리 안쓰지 되겠다 때 니모디 콘전도 소송이 사바나도 세송아이나 안에더니 차로 때 일단 정보 나츠이나라 아좀이 정말 수수교를 논치면 지가 요말 논치요나 논치 때 소송 내선진 내선바데 지만 파송은 요청지지만 지금은 답자치 터베나 때 정말 정정만 도전 결정하니 지 간이 공다지니 시에당니 코니 로아텐다나 시작방을 맞춰요 말이지 어떤 직든 앞에는 나도 넘대고 지겠다고 통고득습니다.
뭔가 제 누구시고 뜻대서 죄송합니다. 이거는 게 대해서 될수 네 역도 누구시고
늑바샤서는 늑바샤도 제가 년부터 지고 있는 사고라. 년부터 지고 당고 늑바 소소 니와 가르치는 소소다 소마에 받는 것도 하고 말다. 다 리기고는 잡아 이기고는 잡아 리슨 배추소 레상사도 저거 자고 뛰가는 사배 니와다 소소 하고 왔지. 때 sem나 잠바지. 다 잠바 데카르 득자에 바하고 틴데고 등을 증기 바하고 지만에 지금은 다 nga 대화도 바로 등은도 거든요. 이 대화고 본자 리드바 지금은 홈 지선바데 공다다 지만에 정이 득자 바하고 송스다 지만에 지금은 담차탄 보지나 또 니르 어때 전에 아니 다때 그런 거 지금 대체때 아니 지금 아주 나 지금 요식지야라 뭔가 사발라서봐 소소군이지야 안 파쇼들 지금 가습지야라다 직진 받으기나 다 칠키멜은 넣고 샤파지어 용어라 미 고마 노비시위 정도는 그다나 노비 뜻은 게 그런 거는 진짜 뜻은 소자들이 저 있잖아 자리받 뜻이 타마도 그 샤돔로 진짜 노트 정성이 있잖아 지지마 뒤에니 강우 강조왔다 노비시위 정도 마원은 다몽 시디 땡게지랑이 자인 제때 코드 오늘 진짜 샤돔래 어쨌든 단 그런 니완로 때 서 직팅 너나 요르와 미 나니 찬즈 나니 때 그런 거지 답시 관지잖아 파쇼군 땅 오고는 저거는 리고는 서고는 삽타소나 때 그거 나니 다 송으로 또 마스 버트 때 메디 나니 차르스도 어떤 로통로 때 있었어 샤tum지도
Okay. Well, let's try. Fortunately, because the internet was not stable, so I'm not sure entirely can translate everything. So here's the thing. Practically, let's just say something that's practical. So with regarding the three different ways that a karma can be mature or whatever the karma you have accumulated can be rapid, right? And as we talked about, and the one form is that right here in this lifetime, so experiential, and you can confirm that with your own very experience of this lifetime, so which is obvious, and the sort of instantly wrapping the phenomenon, the karma, which of course we don't need to take a further explanation, but I do need to pay attention though. And what is the practical and the advice or the teachings we need to know when we think about a karma or its ripping, the maturity? So we, as the literature repeatedly say, that it is very critical, very important for the individuals pay very close attention at the moment of the death, or at the last sort of when you're closer to the final stages of your life, the final actually the last phases of your life in this lifetime, and so that very mind, the mental states, right? The state of mind at the moment of your final death is it plays a very critical, very important role. That is because that very moment of the mind, or state of the mind at the moment of dying, will affect or invite the experiences of your coming life. It's as if, like, when you approach the last moment of death, if you pay close attention, utilize your Dharma practice, generate a very altruistic mind, let yourself be in the state of altruism, right? Or the very profound awareness with the clarity, right? And then that very state of mind is not only sort of lead you to much better or the awesome life, right? And lead you to the put you to the much better, greater life, and then after your death. But that very state of mind, in fact, also inviting, right? As if inviting all the virtuous karma, right? Virtuous actions that you have been accumulated in this lifetime and the previous lifetime. So, like, you meditate on the great compassion at the moment of your death, right? That state of mind and being transformed into great compassion, and obviously that's awesome and a great mind, and a very powerful mind, and that the powerful mind will invoke and all the great potencies, right? Propensities, the positive, the karmas and the karmic influences, and that you have been accumulated in previous lifetime. So it will further enhance your experience of awareness and clarity and clear understanding, right? And then will take you move to the next phase of the life. It's just like watch a movie, right? So if you made the movie at the prior to the segment of your movie is very good, and then when you transform to a scene and the next story of your movie is part of a segment of the movie is very positive, very good, then that will lead you to the further is more kind of a better and excellent part of the story. So, and therefore, we needed to know that that's a practical advice, and it's very important for us to remember that. Now, let's say a few things about the compassion and the karma, and especially the negative karmas that you've been accumulated. And with the great compassion, and you would dedicate yourself to purify the negative karma. You explicitly and will dedicate yourself to the practice of elimination of the hate or the aversion, right? Because you know that the hate or the aversion is the opposite forces of great compassion. And you see the sentient being and they suffer, and you have this great compassion, and you want to purify all your negative karma and bring yourself to the point or be in the states where you can capable to performing or doing anything and to all things to address and help the sentient being. So therefore, this great compassion will lead you to dedicate whatever the negative karmas you have been accumulated in the previous lifetime, because you know that the negative karma is bad by nature, and it produces negative results. So it's not good at the moment of creation, and its influence is definitely very negative, and its outcome also will be very negative. So therefore, see all these things and driven by the compassion, and you would determined to purify your negative karma. And like with a friend, right? If you truly love your friend and respect him or her, and you definitely will pay very close attention and do not show the anger or lose your temper, right? And make them upset. So similarly, and with a great spiritual the great perfection of the goal of a spiritual practice, that is to attain the enlightenment. So therefore, you would dedicate, driven by compassion, you would dedicate yourself to purify your karma, and by relying on what we call the four antidotes. Okay, four antidotes, meaning through the four different steps, and to wipe out or eliminate or mitigates your whatever negative karmas you have accumulated by speech or physical action and the mental attitude. You would taking care of them. And the examples like, you would say the mantra, sacred mantra, reciting of them, and meditate on the profound topics such as emptiness or the great mind of compassion, and so on and so forth. So you will sincerely dedicate that. Because of that, the obvious effect of the repentance or confession can purify your karma, and can taking care of its negative outcome is quite obvious in this lifetime. For example, you offended somebody, you made somebody angry. If you sincerely, right, not just saying and as an expression, but sincerely go to that person saying, "I'm so sorry, that was my fault, and I made it you upset. I did regrets, and I promise I will never do this again." So if you make such a statement, sincerely approach that person, him or her, I'm sure they'll affect that person, and then whatever the negative karmas you've been accumulated with that person, or through that person, will be taken care of it. Yes, the karma can be purified. The negative karma can be purified through a virtuous action. For example, like we all know the Nobel Peace Prize, the founder of this great prize is Nobel, and he invented the explosion, right? And the science, the technique, which very devastating, and it be used created so much damages and distractions upon to see what he had done, and he was regretted. Then toward at the end of his life, he decided whatever the money he had been made, the fortunes he made, he left the will, and all the money is going to be used for those who are working on the peace. So then that's how the Nobel Peace Prize or Peace Prize has been rewarded so far. And so we know that's affected us worldly, in the case of this world. So therefore, you can see that great compassion and would taking care motivates you to the dedications to also wipe out can damage the negative outcomes of your negative karma.
근데 너디우 지시형 시야지도 그땅 가서 늑바서서 개왔어 야꼼쪽도 마셈진이마 또 요말 아니 야꼼쪽라 가서 연든 지스탄 받지니 텔라네 지 답이 끝내랑니 소소가 조바당 샤와라스 버텐지니 늑바샤가 꼼쪽라 때니 늑바 땐지 샹 거르서 말 셈질라 때니 늑바사 가지고 그랬어 때 셈진 탐지 그 같은 지스탄 받지니 아니 텔라 때니 형지 곰지니 아니 지금 발라서 받는데 지금 정말 딱 샤트 버리세요.
So lastly, let me just quickly point out that in terms of negative karma, and we accumulated sources and all two possibilities, and the karma. One is we accumulate our karma that's related to the three jewels, right? Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So that's kind of exalt the object and the field or the group of the objects, let's say, and from where we possibly can accumulate negative karma. But then once we accumulate it, the karma that's related to the 3 jewels, what we can do to purify them is like a prayer to it and make prostration and dedicate ourselves to all the teachings and implementing the sacred teachings. And that way we can purify any form of negative karma we accumulated because of the 3 jewels or related to 3 jewels. And then second possibilities that we may accumulate negative karma is the all sentient being. So all sentient being and the whoever here or there, because of the other circumstances, we can accumulate negative karmas. So once we accumulate the negative karma, and that's related to, or because of the sentient being, then the quickest and one of the most powerful way to eradicate or eliminate the negative influence is to develop the greater compassion. So, yeah, that's all, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Geshe-la Kempa and Translator Tenzin. If you would like to make a donation for this teaching, it would be greatly appreciated by the monastery and the monks, and also for donating for our translator Tenzin. And you can do this by calling 812-336-6807 or by emailing the center at tmbcc.kcl@gmail.com. For those of you here in the temple, if you would like to make a donation, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you cannot do it, you can just say a prayer or a mantra in the bowl. So I'll pass that around. Thank you.
Closing prayer on page number 80.
냐제 쳔보 여로 조바이 아데데데 서월시벌쇼 세제 야외 마숑천데 라 zhou shang qiu lang ji ren bei jiang an dong nang jie ye la he de shang ya wen za ba rong de zhong ji ji lam zang zhe bei ten jian zhe xie xiang ga jian se xie me dan me gen ce re gen de yao wei ngao ba yi nam da lam dan zhe wer ma zhe ji zhe ta ba qiu la jie zhou zhe zhe zhen zhe la zong ba de yi te de nam jie da de zhou xi xiang zha xi jiang zou xiu gen jiang ji ba de wei la ma ren bo xie da su ni ge ba me dong xiu la ga zhe qian bo guo ne ji zong de ge song de jie mi zhe zang de su xiang qiu sen qiu ren bo xie ma jie ba ne ji ji jie wa niang ba me ba yang gong de gong de pe wer shuo ra wei gu wei sheng gang de pan dang de wa ma le zhong wei li xia ri zhen wang ten zhen yang zu yi xia pe sen de par de dan jie ji jia pe ba wu zhi de jian ba dang gong de zang bo de yang de yin de da gen jie ji si da lo jiang ye wang de da tam ji ran de ngo song sha bei ya wo tam ji ji ngo wo gang la zhou de ngao ba de da zhe ge wei zang wan de gen jiang zang bo zhu shi ra de ngo wer ji pan de zhong de dan ba de shang ji dan zhe jie wo tam zhi gen gang zang li zhen gen la de zhe zhong wei ni sang jie dan ba da de ji 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 kun de jia wo zong ga wei dang zhou xin nian ye si zhe bei de ya wei nga bei lang zang de ye li ge ji zang yang duo per ma ji. Okay, thank you.